You think breakfast is ancient tradition, but for almost all of human history, this morning meal simply did not exist. No cereal, no toast, no morning coffee. So what did our ancestors actually eat when the sun rose?
To understand breakfast, we must travel back long before farms, before cities, before the word itself was ever spoken.
Imagine a hunter-gatherer waking in a small camp, fire smoldering, dawn cold, and absolutely nothing prepared to eat. There was no pantry, no fridge, no set schedule. Food had to be found first, and finding took time. So the first meal often came whenever food appeared, not when the clock struck a certain hour. But leftovers existed. Last night's roasted meat, cold and chewy, was likely the first thing many people tasted. Alongside it, handfuls of wild berries, nuts, and roots gathered the day before filled the empty morning stomach. This wasn't a special meal. It was simply fuel to walk, to hunt, to survive another long day. Now here's the surprise. Our ancestors' bodies were built for uncertainty, not for 3 neat meals a day. They ate big when food was plenty, then went long stretches with almost nothing. Feast, then quiet hunger. So the idea that skipping breakfast is unnatural? For most of human history, it was completely normal. But everything changed roughly 12,000 years ago, when humans learned to grow their own food. With farming came grain, and grain, once ground and cooked, became the first true breakfast staple. Early farmers mixed crushed grain with water and heated it on stones. The result was porridge, thick and plain. This warm gruel was humanity's original breakfast bowl, eaten in nearly every farming culture across the world. It wasn't tasty by our standards. No sugar, no milk, just grain, water, and whatever seeds you had. But it was reliable. And reliability, after millions of years of hunger, was a revolution all by itself. Let's step even further, into ancient Egypt, where breakfast began to look almost recognizable to us. Egyptians rose early and ate bread. Dense, gritty loaves baked from emmer wheat, often washed down with beer. Yes, beer for breakfast. But it was thick, low in alcohol, more like a nourishing liquid loaf than a drink. The bread was so coarse, it wore down teeth. Archaeologists find ancient jaws ground flat from years of chewing. Now travel to ancient Greece, where mornings began with something surprisingly simple and strangely modern. Greeks dipped stale barley bread in wine, softening it, then sometimes ate olives, figs, or a little cheese. They even had a word for it, akritisma, meaning the breaking of the fast after a night's sleep. Notice that idea, breaking a fast. Every culture kept circling back to the same simple concept. In ancient Rome, breakfast had a name too, ientaculum. But many Romans looked down on eating it at all. To wealthy Romans, a big morning meal seemed greedy. The proper time to eat came later in the day. Workers and soldiers, though, needed energy. They grabbed bread, cheese, olives, or leftover porridge on the go. Street vendors sold quick bites at dawn, an ancient version of grabbing something fast before work begins. So the busy commuter breakfast isn't new at all. 2,000 years ago, people were already eating on the run. But then something strange happened. In medieval Europe, breakfast nearly disappeared once again. The church taught that eating too early showed weakness and greed. Discipline meant waiting until midday to eat. A proper Christian broke fast only after morning prayers. Breakfast became almost shameful, a sign of gluttony. Only laborers, children, and the sick were forgiven for eating early, because their bodies truly needed it. So for centuries, whether you ate breakfast wasn't about hunger. It was about status, morality, and belief. Then trade routes opened, and new ingredients flooded in. Sugar, tea, coffee, and chocolate changed everything. Coffee and tea gave mornings a reason to gather, and suddenly breakfast became social, fashionable, respectable. By the industrial age, factory workers needed heavy fuel before long shifts, and breakfast grew big again. Meat, eggs, bread, and fat. The full, hearty plate we picture today was born from hard physical labor. But here comes the twist that shaped every bowl on your kitchen table this very morning. In the late 1800s, a health movement invented dry cereal to make breakfast lighter and simpler. It was meant to be plain and healthy, but companies soon added sugar to make it sell far better. Clever advertising then convinced millions that breakfast was, quote, the most important meal of the day. That famous phrase wasn't ancient wisdom. It was largely a marketing slogan designed to sell more cereal. So the breakfast you think of as timeless is, in truth, barely 100 years old. Let's return to that hunter-gatherer waking at dawn and compare their morning to yours right now. They ate whatever the land gave, whenever it gave it. You eat the same box at the same time daily. Their diet shifted with seasons and luck. Yours is shaped by shelves, schedules, and slogans printed long ago. Neither is right or wrong. But recognizing this reveals how invented our daily habits truly are. Consider that the word breakfast literally means to break the fast of the long night. For our ancestors, that fast might last many hours, sometimes even a full day, without a single meal. Their bodies handled that easily, drawing on stored energy the way ours still quietly can today. So the next time someone insists breakfast is essential, remember, that certainty is surprisingly young. Across 100,000 years, humans thrived with porridge, cold meat, berries, bread, beer, or nothing at all. The one constant was never the food itself. It was human ingenuity, finding fuel in whatever the world offered. Your breakfast tells a story of trade, faith, farming, advertising, and 100,000 hungry mornings. So look at your plate tomorrow and see not just food, but the long, strange journey that placed it there. What would your ancestors have eaten this morning? Tell us in the comments below. We love your ideas. And if you enjoy rethinking everyday life through deep time, subscribe and keep exploring the past with us.